Office Hours live stream where I go live every single Tuesday at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time to talk all things claims, careers, coffee, and all kinds of other cool stuff. I'm your host, Josh Fisher, and this stream is brought to you by Crew Talent Group, the greatest claim adjuster recruiting group on the planet. If you're tuning in, jump in the chat. I'd love for you to say hello. And if you enjoy this content, do me a huge favor and like, comment, and subscribe. It helps me more than you could know. And if you're in claims or you want to be, connect with me on LinkedIn or send me your resume at www.crewtalentgroup.com. I'd love to hear from you. Now it's time for the show. Happy Tuesday. Happy Tuesday. We are live. This is the Claims Recruiter Office Hours weekly live stream. Thanks so much for tuning in. If you are hanging out, say hello in the chat. We're vibing on a Tuesday. It's the best day of the week besides Monday. Busy week here in Portland, Oregon. It is a hot one. It was 94, 95 degrees yesterday. Back down to about 80 degrees today. We're loving the summer. Enjoying some water this weekend. We have Christopher in the chat. Hello, good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you're at. I am doing fantastic today. It is a beautiful day here in Portland. I'm just happy that I have air conditioning in a couple of rooms in my house, and it's been really hot. That's honestly with me. I see we got Nick in here from Miami. Y'all are on the coast where it's always hot. It's not always this hot in Portland. It's been crazy the last couple days. So I'm excited that we're cooling off a little bit, but I'm loving the summer so far. I'm loving the vibes. Thanks so much for tuning in. If you're new here, this is Claims Recruiter Office Hours. We talk all things recruiting in the claims industry. I'm a recruiter. I work in this industry every single day. I talk to hiring managers. I talk to claims professionals. I talk to job seekers. I talk to people who are trying to get hired. I talk to people that are trying to hire people. And the whole goal of this live stream every Tuesday is to open up my office and to help out people in whatever situation that you're in. We like to keep it kind of open format. I've got a couple things that I go through, a couple little segments here at the beginning, and then about halfway through, we open it up and just talk about whatever you want to talk about. So if you got topics on your mind, pop in here. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks so much for tuning in on your Tuesday morning or afternoon. We're live on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok. Shout out TikTok. If you're on TikTok, you're not getting the full setup. You might have to scooch over to YouTube or something like that to see the graphics and things like that. Otherwise, I mean, hang out on TikTok too. I got my Hurricane Season 2020 mug. What a year. Hurricane Season 2020 was a year. A lot of hurricanes that year. Those are all the named storms. 2020. No really big storms that year. We had Isaias was a decent storm. We had Laura. What else do we have? Delta. Sally. No like massive storms in 2020, but there was a lot of hurricanes. And if you work in the insurance industry, especially on the property side, you're very familiar with hurricanes and what that means for claims adjusters. So June 1st, 16 days ago, was officially the first day of hurricane season this year. So that's pretty exciting stuff, I guess. Depends on who you are, how you're feeling. But celebrating hurricane season with my hurricane mug. Again, if you're just tuning in, this is the Claims Recruiter Office Hours weekly live stream. Thanks so much for being here. First thing we're going to talk about is goals of the week. I think it's really important to have goals, short-term, long-term, career goals, personal goals, relationship goals, whatever that might be. It's important to set goals for yourself, for your business, for your accountability-wise, all that stuff. So my two goals for this week, one personal, one professional. One professional, I want to connect with 5 job seekers, specifically in commercial auto and general liability. Those are the lines that I'm seeing are hot this week. Hot right now. That's where a lot of the claims jobs are at. So my goal is to connect with 5 job seekers. We're looking to work in those lines. If you're a job seeker wanting to connect, hit me up, send me a DM, send me a LinkedIn message, head over to my website, crewtalentgroup.com, send me your resume. That is my professional goal this week. And my personal goal, again, if you have tuned into the show before, or if you're one of my friends in life, you know that running has basically become my personality over the last, I don't know, a long time. But I am officially 18 days out from my first ever marathon, 18 days out from July 4th. And so I am trying really hard to stay healthy, stay eating clean, trying to get my knee rehabbed up, but I am officially entering the taper. I have completed the hardest workout in my training block so far, where I ran 20 miles on Saturday, 7 of which were at race pace, which for me is going to be 8 minutes per mile. So I'm done with that officially. Just trying to stay healthy now, continue the training block. We've got Nick in the chat with his goals for the week. He is trying to get more consistent work with fewer firms, TPAs, and that's always a goal, I think, for adjusters, especially independent adjusters. Is it's good to have lots of clients, but sometimes it's good to have just a few clients that are consistent. And so building consistency, good clientele, that's an awesome goal to have. And then finish studying for the California licensing exam. Shout out Nick for working on the California licensing exam. If you are new to the insurance world, you don't know about the California licensing exam, but we'll tell you about it here. The California licensing exam, I have been told by a lawyer that it was as difficult as the bar exam. So I don't know if that was an exaggeration or not, but the California adjuster licensing exam is the most difficult. New York's probably up there too. California, New York, 2 most difficult adjuster licensing requirements in the country. Very difficult. A lot of information. California's extra special because they're California and they like to do things their own way. So just a weird deal. Very difficult, very time consuming, very expensive to do. So especially if you're an independent, you have a California license, make you more marketable. So shout out Nick working on his California license. Some fun stuff. We got James in the chat saying good morning. Good morning, James. Hopefully, I saw the weather yesterday in Wisconsin on your LinkedIn. It looked very nice. Like a very nice day in Wisconsin yesterday. A beautiful day in Oregon today. Let me tell you, the summers in Oregon, you cannot beat it. You cannot beat a summer in Portland, Oregon. Let me tell you, it's just sunny, beautiful every single day. Doesn't ever rain in the summer. It's just beautiful, amazing time. So much beautiful water. You got the mountains. You're an hour from Mount Hood. You're an hour and a half from Mount St. Helens. You're an hour and a half from the ocean. You're 3 hours from the desert. You can go to Bend if you want. There's rivers, there's lakes, there's water everywhere. So much awesome stuff to do. So much cool people here. Summers in Portland's where it's at, but we're not here to talk about Portland, Oregon. We're here to talk about claims, jobs, insurance, careers. Let's get to it. This is a Hear You Winning segment. If you are winning, doing something awesome, got a new job, got an interview, whatever it might be, I want to hear from you. Send me a DM, send me a message, send me an email, send me a letter, send me a pigeon, whatever that might be. I want to hear from you. We heard from John this week. John is a listener of the show and got a new job this week and reached out to me. So we're going to add him to the road to 100. We're up to 22 now. Super excited. So shout out John. Some claps for John on the new job. John's a cool little case study. He's a human being. He's not a case study. But a good example of just kind of being flexible with the industry that you're in right now. Claims is tough right now. We've talked about that. We talk about it every week. It's a tough industry to kind of break into right now with some of the some of the things happening. So John actually was hoping to get a job in claims, ended up getting a job as an underwriter's assistant, as an entry-level position. Great way to get exposure into the claims industry, and maybe you'll love underwriting. Maybe you'll end up in claims someday. Maybe you'll end up somewhere totally different. But shout out to you for being flexible, for trying new things, for going for it. Let's rock. But yeah, shout out John on the new job. And yeah, if you're winning, love to hear from you too. Love hearing listeners of the show doing well, getting jobs, getting interviews, crushing life, running marathons, whatever that might be. I want to hear from you. I have a milk mustache during this. Let's keep on rocking. So Market Pulse, quick little updates, what I'm seeing in the market, what I'm hearing from people, what's happening. It is officially hurricane season. Let me get my notes up here. Hurricane season has officially began. If you're not following Mike's weather page, what are you even doing? You should be following Mike's weather page, the greatest insurance weather page on planet Earth. Shout out Mike, friend of the show. Mike is a friend of the show. Check out Mike's weather page if you're on TikTok. He's on TikTok, he's on Facebook, he's on everything. Mike's weather page is the greatest source of weather information for the insurance industry. There's lots of awesome professional weather channel people out there. Mike is better than all of them. So check out Mike's weather page. That's where I get all my news weather related. But this, that said, Colorado State University, another great place to get some good hurricane information. They keep you updated throughout the year, have predictions, forecasting. So June 1st is the official start to hurricane season. The Colorado State University has put its forecast in a June update. They are calling for 11 named storms, 5 hurricanes, and 2 major hurricanes. This is below the average, which is 14 named storms, 7 hurricanes, and 3 majors. We are in what's called a El Nino, which means wind shear over the Atlantic, which makes it more difficult for storms to develop. So because of that El Nino environment over the Atlantic, we're expecting a lower forecast. That's the news today, Blake. That's the news. Blake knows what the news is. I would imagine Blake is pretty into what the hurricane forecast is as well. I would imagine you could probably educate me a little bit. But that's the news today. Is it's hurricane season. We're not predicting, everybody else is predicting a below average year in terms of hurricanes. So what does that mean for insurance professionals, specifically claims professionals, specifically property and auto claims professionals? The truth of it is, this industry runs on weather. A lot of property adjusters make their money when there are large weather events, and if there are not large weather events like the last couple years, that can mean it can be more difficult for specifically property and auto adjusters to get jobs. So we don't hope for storms. We're not in that business. We don't want bad things to happen. We don't want damage. We're here for policyholders when they do. But we want to just be prepared and have the information, right? So as a property adjuster, does this mean I should run away and never work in property? Absolutely not. It doesn't take, I mean, here's my mug, right? 2020, look at all the named storms. There was a lot of storms that year, didn't produce a whole lot of damage, right? One big storm can produce more damage. I mean, someone should fact check me on this. What was Harvey when it hit? Harvey, I don't think was it a Cat 2 when it hit? Someone fact check me on that. A lot of times it's location based. It doesn't matter necessarily how big. Obviously a Cat 4 is going to do a lot more damage, but it just kind of depends on where some of these big storms hit. And so yeah, it's not supposed to be a major year. That could mean anything. That could mean that we don't have any storms. That could mean that we have a ton of storms. It's all predictions, and so we have to be ready. We have to be prepared. If you want to be a property adjuster, if that's what your calling is, you shouldn't change your what you want to do with with your career based on weather patterns or weather events. Obviously, we need to pay attention and be smart about what the market's looking like, but it only takes one big one. So if you're an independent adjuster, if you're a property adjuster out there, stay ready. Here we go. It's gonna be a wild ride. Buckle up. Again, Mike's weather page is where it's at. Jacobson labor study this past year said that 93% of carriers plan to maintain or grow headcount over the next year. Claims is named one of the industry's biggest needs alongside underwriting tech. So I think that carriers are still hiring. I think that the overall headcount is going to improve. We're still growing. Blake is asking, have you seen any carriers shy away from IA firms lately? Blake, I think that, and you're probably just as close as I am to some of this stuff, and so I'd love to hear your opinion, what you're seeing too. I think that 2 years ago we saw State Farm go from 11 vendors to 3 vendors. Has it been 2 years already? So State Farm, the largest P&C insurance carrier, maybe not, maybe the second largest now. I think someone else might be bigger. Went from oh, so it was, there you go, Grok, category 4. So it was Cat 4. Yeah, see, I'm off. But it was Cat 3 when it hit landfall. So it was a massive storm. Massive. But sorry, so go back to Blake. 2 years ago, we saw State Farm go from 11 vendor firms, IA firms, to 3 vendor firms. And that move alone cost so many jobs. And I think that was in response to a lot of things. Some of the things that was in response to was State Farm's own doing. But when the biggest insurance company in the United States moves away from independent adjusters the way that they did, I think it's telling, and it's kind of a sign. And so yeah, like, we've definitely seen State Farm specifically, but where's all those claims going now, right? If they were deploying all these people from outside firms 3 years ago, what happens when that storm hits now? And that's kind of the question that we have to answer. The truth of that question is we haven't really seen massive storms since then, and so we haven't really seen a large response. It could be that those 3 firms are just going to take over all the volume from the other 11 firms, although I kind of doubt that. I would imagine State Farm is upping their staff counts, and I think that we see this like pendulum swing in the IA world. If you've been in this industry long enough, you see this pendulum where it's like, oh, we have too many staff people. We need to cut down our head count because these people are sitting around not working in the wintertime. So they go get lower on staff. And what does that mean? We have to hire more independents. And so they use more independents. And then the pendulum goes the other way where it's like, oh, we're spending way too much money on independents. If we just hired more full-time staff, we could not pay this premium for independents. And then it's, oh, we're hiring more staff. And it kind of goes back and forth. So we've seen that happen every 4 or 5 years. That could be part of this. That said, we're also seeing some really different things in the property world, like kind of the scope only. It seems to be a lot of companies are pivoting to like the Hancock, Seek Now, Ladder Now, you see Paysetters doing it. You see companies like Eberl Claim Service doing it, where they're doing drone inspections. They're doing kind of these like unlicensed inspections. Why is that happening? Again, like, you guys would probably have a better insight to some of that stuff. I think there's a ton of issues, and we could probably spend an entire hour just talking about that. Yeah, I'm with you though. When it does happen, I believe they will be calling firms asking for help. 100%. Yeah, when we get the big one, we'll see what happens. I mean, State Farm certainly has a plan. I have no doubt in my mind that they've got a master plan. Sometimes it kind of goes out the window. I mean, we've seen it before where they gotta get in trouble. There was one, I think it was it in 2020 where a storm went up? It hit Louisiana. Is it Ida? it hit Louisiana, and it like kind of came up into like New York and flooded everything in New York. What happened is there were so many people deployed down south, they couldn't get enough people up north, and then there was these regulatory issues where if they didn't have claims inspected within X amount of days, they were getting smoked with fines. They started paying these like enormous premiums to adjusters to go out and work the claims because they desperately needed people, because they were going to get just smoked with regulatory fines. So like there is major repercussions when these insurance carriers don't handle their claims properly, and that can create opportunity for claims adjusters. But yeah, I believe you're right. I think I don't think we've seen a major hurricane yet with this kind of like Seek Now, Ladder Now, Hancock workflow, right? It's kind of been, I'm not saying scope only is brand new. It's been around for 10 years. It's been way more prevalent in the last 2. I know we had a couple hurricanes last year, 2 years ago, nothing like major though, right? So how is Seek Now gonna happen? Like, to me, and again, you guys are closer to this, like Nick and Blake. I know you both are in the trenches way more than I am with some of this stuff. I think a Seek Now person can go out and look at a roof and tell you if it's damaged. Is a Seek Now person going to be able to go out and handle a Harvey claim where you're trying to decide if that's wind-driven rain or flood, and it's complicated and it's complex and it's large decisions that are costing insurers tens of thousands of dollars? I'm not sure. I don't think we've seen it yet in practice, so I don't know if we can make that decision. I think there's a lot of companies that are trying to kind of move in that direction, which obviously is not great for independent adjusters. Is it going to work in something like Harvey? I don't know. So we're seeing that. We're seeing companies overall. There's been a less in terms of catastrophic weather events. And then we've also seen a little bit of like movement in some of these like Seek Now stuff. We've seen companies even go like, okay, I'll have a Seek Now person do this. Then I'll have an estimate writer in the Philippines that looks at that estimate, writes it up. I've heard of programs like that. I've heard of programs like that going really well. I've also heard of programs like that doing really poorly. So like, I like the innovation. I like the idea of trying new things and try and make things like better, quicker, faster, get payments out faster. AI is great, all this stuff. At the end of the day, what matters is, does it work? And I think we're still kind of yet to see the large hurricane event with a really massive hurricane. Does that work? But I definitely think that we're seeing that cut into the amount of work that adjusters are getting on like hail events in the Midwest. So that's my perspective. Again, I'd love to hear what you guys are seeing, what you're thinking. Your boots are a little bit closer to the ground than mine is at this point. Love to hear from what you're seeing as well. But let's move on. Again, if you want to keep the conversation going, feel free. I love to keep talking about this. We're on a little bit of a delay, so what happens here is I move on, and then a comment will pop up a minute later because you commented a minute ago. But yeah, experience matters, man. Yeah, dude. And that's just it. Is like that's what I was just like. I think it makes a little bit more sense when you have 4-inch hail and every single person's roof is damaged in the city. It's like someone write that out from the desk with some photos, probably. I think maybe that's like a use case for that. But when you have a Harvey claim and you're trying to determine where that, you know, was this a flood or was this wind-driven rain? Where did this happen? It's a little bit more like, we all know that there are good scope only folks out there. There are good ones. I guess that's all I'll say. There's also, I don't want to trash these companies because I think it's an interesting business model, but when you're paying $100 to go out and climb a roof and take a bunch of photos, you're going to get what you pay for. You're not going to get the expertise that you were getting 5 years ago. And I think that matters. I'm with you, Blake. I I don't know how you can do it. I'm just saying, I guess what I'm seeing, and I'm certainly seeing less weather events, major carriers moving away from independence, um, some kind of interesting technology stuff. But at the same time, what I would say is there will never be a replacement for the more complicated stuff. And so if you're an adjuster out there today, the biggest takeaway is like there might be property work. I mean, there's going to be property work going forward. You're still going to have Hailcat adjusters. You're still going to have companies that want to invest in a good experience for their customers, which means hiring claims adjusters and not just these, inspectors. And so it's a premium. I think claims is a service industry, and that's what sets people apart. But the other thing is, the more complex the claim is, that's where the need's going to lie. And so if you're a property adjuster right now, if you're an independent adjuster, try and do more complex work, try and do some more specialized work, do commercial work, do multi-building, do flat roofs, do, TPO, do all these different roofing types, learn those materials, do some GL, do some liability, try and become specialized in some of these different things. It's a way to make good money. It's a way to learn new things. Thanks for tuning in, Nick. Appreciate you stopping by. Okay, we're going to move on. See what I got next. Live reaction. Okay, so I'm going to start doing this every week. I'm going to find a video about recruiting, insurance, something related to the industry, and we're going to break it down, talk about it. So for today's video, got a quick little video here. I'm going to scooch over to the side, pop him in here. We got Mike Pedito. I think I'm saying his name correctly. Mike Pedito. He's on LinkedIn. Check him out on LinkedIn. He's on anywhere you find media, TikTok, Instagram, all that stuff. Check him out on TikTok. Really, really good tips. Really, really good recruiting advice, interviewing advice. Really great, really great. And so let's check this out. Let's watch this video really quick. I'm gonna react to it live. Here it is.
When you get asked on a job interview, why do you want to leave your current job? There's something you can use to your advantage, and it can shape how you answer this question. And that is that this interviewer has no idea if you are running away from a bad situation and taking any interview you can get, or if you are an incredibly picky and hard to get candidate. They don't know if your job sucks or is great or anything. Which means you don't have to tell them about your bad boss or low salary or any of the things that are actually making you leave. When I am asked that question, I tell them, I'm not. Things are pretty good at my current role. But I saw this job posted, and I thought it was interesting for insert a reason that this job could be interesting. And I thought I would submit a resume and see what this role was all about to see if it could make some sense for me as a next move. And just like that, you haven't had to get into any details about your job. You have put it back on this company that they need to sell you on working there. Because ultimately they should be selling you on working there as much as you're selling yourself on being able to do the job. It doesn't matter what's happening at your old job. You just want to know about this job and if they get to have you.
Yeah, so awesome video. Check out Mike Pedito if you're not following him. Really good follow on just like basic interview tips and things like that. Works as an HR consultant, so he's in the weeds on this stuff. I think that is really good advice. I don't advocate for lying in your interview, right? Like, it's important to be honest, it's important to be truthful, but you don't need to overshare. And I think that's something that I see personally in interviews a lot, is people will overshare. That's one example. There's a bunch of different examples like that, but chances are you're going to get asked the question why you're wanting to leave your current job or what makes you in this job. And as a recruiter, someone who's interviewed thousands of people, you hear everything, you hear it all. But I'd say the biggest mistake that I hear people make in this question is oversharing how much they hate their current job. And for someone on the other side of the table, that's not what you want to hear. It's not necessarily a deal breaker. You could have the absolute worst boss ever. You could have the worst job ever. You could all this stuff, but it's still not what you want to be hearing is, oh, this stinks. I don't like working here. I am desperate. I need to go. I think there's like an intrinsic like human thing of like, we want what we can't have. And so if you as a candidate or you as a job seeker are kind of playing that hard to get, like, I'm not desperate. I don't need this. I'm checking it out to see if it aligns with what I'm wanting. Kind of make the interviewer want to have you more. And so I think it's really good advice. I think it's really important not to lie in your interview, obviously, right? If you don't have a job, you know, you can't say, oh, I love my job right now, but you don't need to overshare. And that's what I just want to get at there, is you don't need to necessarily go 5 minutes because your boss did this one bad thing and you hate working there and it's terrible and the file reviewers are awful and the people that you work with stink and all this stuff. That makes you look terrible, right? Just a quick, like, you know, I wasn't super looking. This recruiter reached out. It seemed like an opportunity that made sense with my like long-term goals, and so I just wanted to. That makes me so stoked as an interviewer, as someone, you know, on the other side of the table, checking that out. So yeah, I think that's really good advice. I think if you're a job seeker out there, Mike is definitely someone that you should be checking out. Really good advice on resumes, interview tips, things like that. So that's one good one. We'll do another video next week, something else. If you've got some cool videos that you see or want me to react to something, feel free to send them my way. Blake says he's running into a meeting. Good stream so far today. Thanks so much for tuning in, Blake. Appreciate it. Thanks for saying hello, being in the chat. But yeah. Coffee is incredible. Time. It is 9:35 here on the Best Coast, Portland, Oregon. If you're tuning in, thanks so much for tuning in. This is the Claims Recruiter Office Hours weekly live stream. We talk about things in the insurance industry, claims, careers. My name's Josh. I'm a recruiter. I work in claims. This is the time of the show where, oh, just before that, hot job alert. Working on some cool remote claims examiner positions right now. Yeah, if you are looking to work in commercial auto, general liability, specialty lines, if that is you, if you've got some experience, if you're an early career professional, if you are interested in these lines of business, have a couple of years under your belt, those are a lot of the positions that I'm seeing and working on right now. And so I want to hear from you. My goal this week to talk to 5 people who are job seeking. And so reach out to me, send me a DM. If it sounds like you, I'd love to talk to you, love to chat. I may have some opportunities right now that might be a fit for, I may not. And that's cool too. And I still want to get you on my radar because these are the types of positions that I work on all the time. Yeah, I'm a recruiter. I work in claims. It is my job to help companies find people to work in claims. If you are a claims adjuster or you want to be, hit me up, reach out, send me your resume, crewtalentgroup.com. Would love to hear from you. Sign up for my newsletter, crewtalentgroup.com. Let's get after it. Okay, we're going to officially open up the show. It's always open, but right now we're just live Q&A. Anything you got, my office is open for the next 23 minutes. If there's no questions from TikTok or LinkedIn or whatever, we'll just kind of go do some questions that I've received throughout the week. I go into my DMs, find questions that people ask me. Rusty, send me a DM, please. If you're looking in that area, that would be a perfect fit. Yeah, I would love to chat. Yep, and you can also send me your resume at crewtalentgroup.com or just send me a DM. Definitely chat. Yeah, the floor is open. If you got questions, anything you want to talk about, it's the Claims Recruiter Office Hours. Every Tuesday, we go live for 1 hour, and I open up my office, and we do it. So a question I get sometimes is, why talk to a recruiter? Recruiter went into your DMs. Should you talk to them or not? Well, the first thing that you should do if a recruiter is sliding into your DMs, you should look on their face and you should look at their profile. And one of the biggest things I hear people frustrated about reaching out to recruiters, they get spam. Well, go look at that recruiter, spend 3 seconds on their profile and see if they're even in the industry that you're in. And a good recruiter is going to have, they're going to be online talking about what they do, right? So, like me, I, I'm going to be talking about claims every single day. I'm going to be talking about issues that I see, what I'm into, things like that. And so if I hit you up and you're an engineer and I say, hey, I have this awesome engineering opening, and you click on my website and it's claims, that doesn't make any sense, right? So why would you talk to me? You shouldn't. You shouldn't. And so that's like 80% of those like crappy DMs you get from recruiters. These people that are trying to get any job ever. They have no idea what the industry they're recruiting in. They're all over the place. They're trying to get commission. It's snaky. It's gross. Don't respond to those people. Block them, right? But if a recruiter hits you up and says, hey, I found your information, I'm working on a role, would love to just chat with you, and you click on their site and they're talking about the industry that you're in, they're talking about problems that you're facing, you kind of jive with what they're talking about. What's the harm in having a quick conversation? Typically, if I'm having a conversation with someone, initial conversation is going to take 10 to 15 minutes, and chances are I have an opportunity that I'm working on. And so from you as a job seeking perspective, or even if you're not looking for a job, having a quick conversation with a recruiter can give you some intel to the industry that you're working in currently, and you can learn about things like what other companies are doing, compensation packages, what they're paying, just what other opportunities might be out there. And so it can be just a quick little learning experience. At worst, maybe you have a 10-minute conversation, learn a couple things, share some information, and you go your separate ways. At best, they could have an opportunity that might align with what you'd be looking for. And so I always recommend checking out the person that is reaching out to you, and give their profile a once over. Make sure that they're like legit, they're in your industry, they're in your niche. If you're a claims adjuster and someone hits you up and you go to their profile and they're talking about construction recruiting or engineer recruiting or that stuff, it's like, doesn't make a whole lot of sense for you to talk to them, right? Because they probably don't really understand the industry that you're working in, right? You need to find someone that understands your niche. But it can be very valuable to talk to people who are in your niche, who understand their market, understand types of jobs that. And like we want to know information too, and so it's sometimes really beneficial for us if I'm working on a job and I reach out to you, and I have this position and it's like, oh, the comp's not quite aligned. Just let me know, because then I can learn. I don't know exactly what all the companies are paying, but I learn because I talk to people every single day. And so I try not to reach out to someone if the comp's going to be off by like 20 grand, right? Like I have a general idea. If you're a claims examiner and you've been in the industry for 20 years, you're probably not going to walk into a job at 63,000 a year. And so I'm probably not going to hit you up for that job. But if I do hit you up, typically I'm going to include pay. I'm going to include general details so you can qualify it immediately. And hey, if we're way off, just let me know. And that way I won't bug all your friends or whatever. But that's part of what we do as our job is our clients say, hey, this is what we're looking for. We go out and find them. And that sometimes means that we are professionally persistent. And so quick message, letting us, hey, I'm not interested, or just a 10-minute chat. Might make a friend, you might learn a thing, you might find a new job, you might find an awesome new company. So yeah, you should totally talk to them, qualify them first. Okay. You're live. We are live on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, and TikTok this morning. It is a beautiful Tuesday here in Portland, Oregon. If you're tuning in, thanks so much for watching. This is the Claims Recruiter Office Hours weekly live stream where I go live every single Tuesday at 11 a.m. Central Time, 9 a.m. Pacific Time. We talk all things careers in claims. It is a totally open format. We're here just hanging out, learning about what's on your mind. If you've got something you want to chat about, if you have questions, pop in the chat. Love to hear from you. Otherwise, I kind of just go through questions that people ask me throughout the week, take stock of my DMs, and we talk about things that are happening in the claims industry. The question I get sometimes is, I'm not quite qualified for this job. Should I still submit an application? I've got two thoughts on this, but I'll give a little background of, first off, my first thought is just like what I'm looking for. And as a recruiter, someone who's written job descriptions, someone who's seen a lot of job descriptions, we're going to put what we want in that job description. And sometimes it's a little bit of a pipe dream. Sometimes it's not realistic. Sometimes it's not what the market is. We're going to put what the hiring manager wants. So kind of a rule of thumb for me is that I'm looking for people who are about 80% qualified for what that job description. What does that mean? If you are already exactly that same as the position is, sometimes that's almost a red flag, right? Like if you're making lateral moves, it's not always a red flag, and there's certain times where lateral moves make sense, but ideally you kind of want someone who's like growing into, right? And so that doesn't necessarily mean that you have 100% of the characteristics of someone who's doing that job. A lot of times for me that means about 80%. So it kind of depends on what some of these things are, but yeah, if they're asking for 8 years of experience and you've got 6, you should definitely apply for it. If they're asking for you know, a master's degree and you've got a bachelor's, apply for it. You don't need 100%, and the worst they could do is say no, right? And they might say no, but you should still apply. You should still try it. But yeah, so to answer the first part of this is yeah, apply for jobs even if you don't seem 100% qualified for it. But at the same time, I kind of beat this to death on the show. It's so difficult in 2026 to apply for a job to get an interview. It just doesn't seem like it happens like that. Sometimes it does. Sometimes that's the way the world works. But I would say right now, the job market, in the hiring market, conversations beat applications every single day. And so when you're out there applying to jobs, you also want to be trying to talk to people. So if you find a company that's hiring, try and engage in a conversation with someone at that company. And that conversation is not, hey, can I get this job? Hey, I applied for this job. Hey, I want to get hired. Try and have like an actual conversation with another human being, where it's not you asking for something, right? It can be things just like, you know, hey, I see you're a hiring manager at this company. Is there anything that you're specifically looking for in people? Are there any certifications that you think would be valuable for someone? Hey, I'm in this. I'm this is where I'm at in my career. Do you have any advice for me? I see you're at a really awesome company, and have done some really cool things in the industry. I think just asking for advice or asking for tips, I think people are really likely to respond. Whereas if you send a DM and it's just like, hey, I applied for this job, tell me where I'm at, they're never going to respond to that because they get 25 of those. So be unique, but be authentic and be a human being, and you're going to get better responses as opposed to like going to ChatGPT, ask the response that it tells you to send that message. Don't do that. Right? Try and come up with like genuine, authentic human conversations to have with another person that's not asking for something, and you're going to get information. You're going to get tips. It may not be, hey, oh, you look perfect, you should apply for this job at my company, we're going to hire you tomorrow. That's not necessarily going to be the answer, but it might be like, hey, my friend over here's hiring, looking for this, maybe you should check them out, I can introduce you. Or hey, I heard this person is looking for this. Or hey, here's someone that I know that just got a job in the same field. That's the type of things that you're going to get. And so if you're a job seeker out there, I want you to think about applications as an important kind of necessary step, but also think about, can I have conversations with people in the street and start tracking those conversations and how many and try and set a goal for yourself. Hey, I need to have 3 conversations this week. Job title. I just find it so much more effective in job seeking than just spraying and praying your resume and hoping that someone gets back to you. It's just a very, very difficult market. And as a recruiter, I'm seeing hundreds of resumes for every single job description. So how can you stand out and to see AI generated resumes? You can stand out by not being a robot, by connecting with humans, by being authentic. The other thing is people want to hire people that they just like jive with. So it doesn't necessarily show up on a resume. I don't know if you'll get that tip from like a, you know, an OG HR rep, you know, because I think there's like there's just, I don't know how to say this without being PC, because it's not necessarily PC, but it's just the truth of the way it is like people want to hire people who they want to work with, right? And how do you kind of show someone that you're a cool person, that you're fun to be around, that you're cool to work with, that you're gonna get the job done, all that stuff? Being authentic, being a human, getting in conversations with people, that's how you do some of these. So you can't show someone that, hey, like, I'm a cool dude, work hard, kicks ass every day, by sending a resume. It doesn't hit the same. So conversations, greater than sign, applicant. Got this fancy office chair. I got like a $600 office chair. It's the I don't know what this is. Someone tell me what this is. It's like the Herman Miller, very nice, but it's like losing its, like, I slowly go down throughout the day. I don't know what I'm gonna have to do. This is a really expensive office chair. Ergonomic support, very important, but this is, every like couple hours I gotta go back up, and then I kind of like sink down slowly. I have to, like, I don't know, I'll figure this out. We'll figure it out. Okay. We are still rocking. We got 10 minutes left in the live stream. If you got questions, anything you want to talk about, anything on your mind, pop it in the chat. Would love to hear from you. Otherwise, here, pop through some questions that I get throughout the week. Again, my name is Josh. I am a claims recruiter. I work in claims industry. My job is to help companies find claims adjusters for their openings. I work with job seekers, hiring managers, companies in claims every single day. The idea of this live stream is to help 100 people in the year 2026 get jobs in the insurance industry. So I am opening up my office every single Tuesday for 1 hour, just totally open office, chat, hang out, have a good time. So here's a question I get quite often. Brand new to insurance, is claims a good place to start? I think that my answer to this question is claims is an excellent place to start. I think that claims is not for everybody. I think it's a very difficult place to work. I think that it is not an easy job. It's not a walk in the park. And so for a lot of people, no, it's not a good place to start. But if you're a hard worker, you're very good at customer service, if you can stay organized, if you are good at learning new things, if you'd like to be challenged mentally, sometimes physically, depending on the role, it's an amazing place to work. If you like improving people's lives, if you like helping people, awesome place to work. You know, insurance is recession proof. Insurance is a credible marketplace. It's growing very fast. The technology aspect of insurance is really incredible. It's really an interesting product. I know it gets a lot of bad rap kind of in general. But yeah, claims is a really good place to kind of learn the business, because you're on the ground floor doing the dirty work, getting your hands dirty, seeing what actually happens, what the policy's actually, you know, talking about. You get to see some of that. And so, yeah, I think claims is an excellent place to start. It's not for everybody. It's a difficult, you need a college degree to do it. No, a lot of cases you don't even need a college degree. We had this joke in insurance that nobody signs up to work in insurance. So nobody grows up thinking, yeah, I want to go work in insurance. So if you're listening or tuning in or watching thinking, wow, I don't want to be like, this sounds so crazy and weird. We all thought that. Every single person that I know, the exception of like one or two, you know, we didn't sign up to work in insurance. We kind of fell into it, and here we are. And so for me, that was a recruiter hit me up on LinkedIn and said, hey, I have this opportunity to recruit for this company that claims. I didn't know a single thing about what that meant. And here I am almost 10 years later. So Yeah, claims is an awesome place to start. You don't necessarily need a college degree, but you do need some training. You do need some background. You have to be very customer service oriented. You have to be very good at managing lots of things, tight deadlines, difficult personalities, negotiation, different stakeholders, whether that be the insurance company, whether it be agents, whether it be policy holders, whether it be people who just experience a major loss. So you're working with all of these different people. And yeah, it's a really fun place to work. Check it out. I'm biased, obviously. Gonna have a huge milk mustache for this show. My breakfast. I'm drinking my breakfast every single morning. I drink one of these protein shakes. Some whey protein, some creatine, some Greek yogurt, and milk, and a little bit of chocolate syrup. Taste every single morning. Okay, we got 5 more minutes. Hanging out this beautiful Tuesday. Let's see. What else? What is a realistic entry point in auto claims? So I like talking about this. One of the places that I recommend people to look at if you are struggling finding a position in claims, especially like entry level, is what's called non-standard auto. And for those who have been in the business, you may be rolling your eyes. For those who are new to the business, you probably don't know what this means. But what a non-standard auto company is, it's a company that writes auto policies for people that have trouble getting auto policies. So think, why would you have trouble getting an auto policy? Typically that's people that have multiple accidents on their records that are considered high risk. You know, high risk could be a bunch of different things. It could be lots of accidents. It could be DUIs. It could be a whole number of different things. But think about like your standard policies are like State Farm, Travelers. You call them up, you get a policy. Your non-standard is when you call State Farm and they say, "Hey, we're not gonna write you because you're too dangerous." There's specific companies that make their whole book of business basically writing policies for those other situations. And yeah, those premiums are higher. And let's be real, from a claims standpoint, a little bit more difficult claims to work for a number of reasons. But one is because like you're probably gonna have more claims. But there's just a lot more factors that are involved in some of these. So because of that, it's typically more difficult to hire and retain staff. Frankly, these are difficult, not easy jobs. They're kind of some of the lower jobs in the totem pole. But the benefit to these jobs is tons of them, actually. But one, you get to learn in a difficult environment. So you get to go in, and if you can master this job, if you can be excellent at that job, it's going to open up so many doors for you. Second is these companies pay really good. You know, they know that they're a little bit more difficult from a claim standpoint. They know that they can be a little bit more complicated. It's harder to retain staff. And so sometimes they pay pretty good. There's lots of opportunity at these companies. There's lots of ways to move up. Right? Like that's something too. And so, yeah, you go in, get your feet wet at a non-standard company. You may not, like a lot of people I know want to go do something else in a couple of years, but some people that I know have done these jobs like are surprised and see the opportunity there and can get jobs in kind of other aspects, move up, become a team supervisor, whatever it might be. So I think that it's not the only entry point in auto, but I think it's an excellent opportunity. And I think it depends on like who's local to you, what companies have claim offices near you. I think if you're an entry-level claims professional, you're going to have the best opportunity actually going into an office. And I know that might not be the most popular or exciting thing, but it's the truth right now with the current job market. Check out companies local to you. Check out, non-standard auto companies. It could be an awesome place to work, and these companies are always hiring people. Check them out. Awesome. Well, it is almost the top of the hour, so that means our hour is coming to an end. If you have stuck with us this whole time, I appreciate you so much. If you just tuned in for a minute, appreciate you too. We do this every single Tuesday at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time, 9 a.m. on the Best Coast. Go live for 1 hour on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, and TikTok. Thanks so much for tuning in. Before we end it, before we log off, we have to do a little Road 100 update. I started this podcast live stream with the intention, the goal of trying to help 100 people get jobs. What that means is if you absorb my content, learn anything, get 1% better in whatever you're trying to do, and it helps you in any way get your next role in insurance, I'd love to hear from you. My goal is to help 100 people. It's not just people that I place as a recruiter, but also people that consume my content and get anything from it. So if you learn anything, if this has helped you in any way, I'd love to hear from you. Send me a DM, send me an email, send me a letter in the mail, whatever that might be. I'd love to hear from you. Or keep a track. And we've got one additional one this week. We've got John getting his first job in underwriting. So shout out John. Claps for John. We are up to 22 for the year. It's about almost halfway through the year, so we need a lot more, a lot of work to do, but that's okay. If I was just one person of the year, you know, it'd be worth it for me. We're up to 22. I think that's incredible. We'll see if we get to 100. Who knows? Anything can happen. I love setting goals. I love setting hard goals. I love doing hard things. So thanks so much for tuning in. If you want some more of this content, follow me on all the social channels. Also, I got a newsletter that goes out every single Wednesday. Or you can head over to my website, crewtalentgroup.com, see what I'm all about. Thanks so much again for tuning in.